me, and thanks to the whole WFAN team, and especially thanks for the Sustainable Agriculture Research and Education for their financial support on this. This is going to be a great program. So we're going to go through this together, and when you have questions, if you would put them in the chat, and as we go through, if time allows, in the middle of our workshop, we'll hit some of those questions, and at the end, we'll be sure to save plenty of time for a good Q&A and hit as many questions then as we can. So I'm going to go right now into my share screen, and we can get started. Okay, are we on my PowerPoint now? What marketing questions keep you up at night? And these are things you probably think about a lot, wonder about, and let's talk about them here, and hopefully you can get some better sleep then. Okay, stories that sell. Before we get started, let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a marketing professional with a passion for organic food and sustainable living. And my husband and I have been involved in agriculture, everything from dairy farming for a living to the hobby farming that we're doing now. And we currently have a menagerie of poultry and bees and fruit and vegetables and herbs, all of these things that allow us to live a fairly sustainable lifestyle and feed ourselves very well. The things that we don't grow, we like to purchase from people like you, from organic farmers at markets and small local venues. And because of that, I have this desire to help you with your marketing so that you can stay in business. A little bit about me and my business. My business is Adenate, which means unite. It's a Latin word. And I chose this because I unite words in copywriting and design, in graphic design or web design. Those are the foundations of visual communication. So that's what I say in my business speak. But in my personal life, I find that my self-employment allows me to join my personal life with the passions and things of my career. And those are probably the same things that join your career to your personal life. I have been doing this since 2005, and I helped nonprofits and small businesses, mainly in the agricultural and food industries. I help them with the tools they need to market themselves. And then I go on to teach them how to use those tools so they can successfully communicate who they are and find greater success in their business. I'm an expert at marketing because I have to be. I'm a business just like you are, and I have to market myself. So I'm constantly researching and finding what works best for small businesses. And then I take that and help my customers with their business. And recently, most recently, I'm just honored totally to be part of the WFAN board of directors. And that's one of my biggest honors. So from there, let's get started. We asked you when you signed up for this program to fill out a survey, and we designated 3 different business levels: conception and visionary, beginning, and established. And thanks to everyone who filled those out. That was a very big help. We had a good response on that. The first one we did, or the first business level, conception and visionary, we had 41% of you say you were at that level. And we're going to go through, start there, and we're going to go through all three of them and apply marketing tactics to each of those. However, I don't want you to feel that if you were at level 2 or level 3, that level 1 isn't applicable to you. They are good for all of you. And maybe you are at level 3 and you fail to do some of those things. That's not a failure at level 1. These are all marketing tactics that can apply at any level wherever you're at. Okay, level 1, we'll start with conception and visionary. 41% of you said you were there, and that's exciting because it's good to know that so many people are interested in starting a business. Especially right now during COVID times, we don't want to be afraid to get started on that or think this is a bad time. In fact, if you look at the values COVID has brought to us as people in our country nowadays, we are looking for better food, we are looking for local shopping, and we're looking for time with our families. And the products that you are offering apply to those values. You can offer what people are looking for. The visionary time is also a dreaming, ideation time, full of ideas. The sun is in your realm here. It's full of possibilities. And it's a good time to surround yourself with positive thinkers, people who will encourage you. And it's a good time to have an open mind to broad creative thinking. This is a fun time if you're someone like me. My brain naturally goes in that direction. However, if you are wired differently, perhaps you are an implementer or a completer in your personality, you may find this a little more stressful at this level. There's so much to think about, the business plan and the financing and zoning laws. But here today, let's just take a step back and figure out your first step, and that would be who you are and what your business will be and what you can be for your brand. Okay, what comes first? The same way we asked that about the chicken and the egg. Branding or marketing. So branding is defining who you are. Marketing is telling who you are. You can't tell people who you are if you don't know who you are, if you haven't yet defined who you are. You can't go to the bank and ask for funding and talk to the banker if you haven't defined your business. You can't write a business plan if you don't know who you are. So we want to go through that first step of determining who you are, and it's actually a very self-examining process. Your branding, that's the verb, the action of defining who you are. Your brand, and we commonly think of your brand, that's true, they are, but they're only a small element of your brand. Your brand is the complete image the public has of your business. So perhaps it's the color of your blue barn, or maybe it's a very defining feature on your farm, like a beautiful oak tree. Or maybe it's your friendly, smiling face at farmer's market, or the welcome feel that people have when they come to your farm stay. Any of those things contribute to your brand. So when a new customer comes to me and maybe they want a logo or a website, whatever, I have to go through and ask them a lot of questions. I have to find out who they are as a business. And so I do what I call the 5 W's and an H. Actually, I didn't come up with this concept. If you are familiar with journalism, or if you're perhaps in law enforcement, you know these: who, what, where, when, why, and how. These are the questions I ask. Who are you? What do you do? Where do you do it? I just ask lots and lots of those questions, and those enable me to understand my new customer. And I have a worksheet that you could do on your own. I've got the link up here at the top of the screen, and we can put that in the chat also. If you want, you can go to my website at adunate.com and scroll all the way to the bottom, and you'll see a screen that looks like this. And you can sign up to get my e-newsletter, and you would get it then also. But that worksheet, combined with next month's stories that sell topic, which is going to be, it's going to come into great detail in this, and you want to be sure to come back for that. It'll be on March 18th, and you'll have a chance to work through that very carefully and fully examine yourself and apply that to your brand. When you do apply that to your brand, you can know then, perhaps it will help you choose a business name. It might help you to have a logo. Some of the words that you will use with that, you could use as content on your website. That all is very helpful. Okay, I'm going to show you a business that did a very good job of branding themselves. I want to give you this example. This is Hillary Kearney, and her business is girlnextdoorhoney.com. I'm always going to put everyone's web addresses there at the top of my page. You can go into those later on if you'd like. I got to know Hillary online via social media, and I say that I know her because we kind of do now. I followed her, and then I started applying in some of her feeds, and then pretty soon we were emailing each other, and I've had some real good conversations with her. So Hillary is a beekeeper from San Diego, and she started beekeeping by chance. She was a fine arts major. Listen to my description of her very carefully, and you're going to see this coming through in her work. She happened to be reading a book, and it was on beekeeping, and even though she didn't know anything about bees, she became enamored with this. And she got one hive, and then, as it happens with beekeeping, I can attest for this, you get a second hive, and so forth. Nowadays, she raises 90 colonies, and her biggest income comes from workshops that she offers to beekeepers and children, and she's authored several books. So I talked with Hillary about her thought process when she did her branding. And she said, I wanted to highlight the fact that I was a female in a male-dominated industry because I believe that is one of my strengths. Here's Hillary's website. Here she says, the colors are meant to be friendly and inviting and reflective of San Diego's endless summer. The goal was to be appealing and friendly to help put people at ease, since bees can be intimidating. I also wanted to pay tribute to my art degree. This is her homepage. Menu on the left side, menu across the bottom. Okay, this is one of her pages. If I'm being freedom, this applies to all of you. When you have your own business, it's giving yourself the freedom to be yourself, your true, authentic self. Another page on her website. She says, when I was working on the branding and design, I deliberately ignored the design rules I learned in school and what everyone else was doing on their websites. I wanted a beautiful and complex and unique work of art, not a standard logo limited to 3 colors. So think about that right now. If we were doing this in person, I would ask you, and we would talk about it a little bit, but I'm just going to ask you here, what do you think? So did Hillary stay true to her brand? Let's go back at, whoops, that's the wrong direction. Oh, hang on a second here. My arrows aren't going. One moment. Did she stay true to her brand with her website? Did she, like with her colors, how about her colors? And the fonts? And what about her imagery? When you look at her website, just based on that, do you feel like you might know her? And if so, what do you think her personality might be? And do you think she's targeting her profitable customer? Let's go on and look at her logo. Here's her logo. And now compare it to the logo on the right. I did this logo for someone different. They're very different logos. They're both very good logos. They achieve their purpose. But do you see how Hillary's logo, compared to how she branded herself, applies more so than the logo I did for someone else? Your screen share is off, just heads up. What way is it off, Amy? Is this better? Okay. Is this, hang on a second here. Can you nod? Can you see my screen? No. Okay, hang on a second. Can you see now? Oh, thank you. Sorry about that, everybody. All right. Hillary's logo on the left, my logo on the right. My logo would be for a very corporate or white collar target audience. It's very clean, very almost, I don't want to say stodgy, because bees certainly aren't stodgy, but it's a very different market. These are ways of knowing yourself and who your target market is. This is why it is important to go through this branding process. Okay. We're going to move right on into the beginning. And I see some questions coming up. We will we'll get to those. Don't worry about that. The next of the branding process in our business levels is the beginning level. 23% of you said you were at the beginning level of your business. So you've taken the plunge and you've hung your shingle. You're still figuring out who you are. You're working to drum up customers, figuring your profitable customer, and you realize you have to market yourself. For action-oriented people, those of you who thrive on challenges, this is really a fun stage. This is a building stage and one to really give yourself excitement in your days. The important thing, no matter what level you're at, but this is a level that we really have to take to heart here, is the fact of business life. If you don't market your business, you won't have a business. And this is just a fact of life, especially for us women. Sometimes we find this hard. Maybe it's in our nature. Maybe we're a little bit more reserved. We're not as outgoing as others. Some women are, some women aren't. But whatever our personality is, we have to overcome that and realize we must market our business. We have to promote the work we do. We have to promote our product, and we have to promote our business so that we can benefit others through our business, through our product, or through our service, whatever it is we're doing. So in the old days, marketing was different than it is now. Marketing has changed, thank goodness. In the old days, this guy here on our televisions, he was bossy. Marketing what told us what we had to do with ourselves, who we had to be. It told us what we had to buy, and it was intrusive. It came to us in their time frame instead of ours. It was so expensive. What's changed is in the internet, social media. It's changed everything about face. So nowadays, little businesses like you and I, us little dogs, we have the same marketing opportunities as the big dogs, and for relatively no cost. And marketing has changed because consumers have changed. We don't tolerate this guy here, so to speak. We want to receive information at our convenience. We want to research and find it ourselves. We have our own values. We don't want someone telling us what to do. And we're going to find products and businesses that align themselves with our values. We're going to research and find them ourselves. And naturally, we do this on our own time on the internet. And this is especially true for food consumers. This is why this applies greatly to you. Food consumers, they want to know where their food comes from. They want to know who produced it, and they want to know how you produced it. So they're looking for these relationships. They want to know who you are as a farm. They want to feel a part of you, a connection to you. We all want to be part of the gang, so to speak. And that relationship is as important as the food itself. We're going to take a look at a customer, or excuse me, a farm who has done a good job of building this with their customer. And that farm is called Grand View Beef. It's a fairly new business. They're 4 years old, and it's owned by Newt and Amanda Severinsen in Belmont, Iowa. So they raise 100% grass-fed beef from birth to finish, and they sell directly to their customers. They sell on the internet, in farmers markets and events, and then their step in between, their one step away from direct, is in the local health food stores. There is one organic food store in which they sell their product. So they're doing a very good job of marketing themselves and building relationships. And like most farmers that I've talked with, whether it's a farm family or partnerships, many of the farms, it's the women who are doing the marketing, especially the social media marketing. This seems to be a niche that we fit in very well. And in this case, Amanda is the one who is doing their marketing. And as I talked with her, she described their two customer types. The first type is 50-plus-year-old people who are eating healthy and staying active. And the second type is the families, namely the 27 to 40-year-olds, typically the mothers, because they are the ones who do the grocery shopping. So she said she tries to connect and has found that's where her success lies. She connects with these people in person, and then she follows up on social media with her marketing. So she's on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Other possibilities for her or for any of you in this situation would be e-newsletters, simple emails, texts, and now with COVID, the occasional phone call is just like the, ooh, that's the really close personal added touch. Anyways, so she connects in person at her farmer's market, and then she goes on the internet. Take note of her web address there, grandviewbeef.com. Take a look at that in your spare time. Their website is done very well. It's very simple. It's clean, a lot of nice pictures. In the survey, one of you asked if a website is necessary. And yes, it is. It's very necessary. And I say this because in social media, that's where we have our friendly conversations and perhaps little announcements and things like that. But it's on the website. That's where we find out all the details. That's where we do our research. So it's on Amanda and Newt's website that I learned their story. I learned how they met in Seattle and how they moved back to his family's Centennial farm and got married. I learned how they believe in raising their beef differently than, say, a CAFO farm. They're raising theirs all 100% grass-fed, and they're using workhorses as their power horse, so to speak, instead of mechanized power. These are things I learned on their website. I can go in their website at my convenience and do this research. Okay, some of you also asked about the mechanics of building a website. And that alone is a topic that could take its own workshop. So I'm not going to get into that, except that there are many options nowadays. Hiring someone to do it for you is cheaper than it ever was before, but there are also options that you can do on your own, such as WordPress or Squarespace. Wix, W-I-X, they actually offer the opportunity for you to have a domain for free, and they host it for you for free. And I'm not recommending or not recommending any of these options, but I am going to say this. bear in mind when you have free, there are always going to be drawbacks. And your website, you want it to be the best it can be because it's representing your business. You would like your own domain name would be best for you, so you don't have to have another title in with your domain name. And you also don't want anyone's ads coming up on your website. So my advice, if I can offer any, is to just bite that bullet and pay a little extra for your own domain name and for an internet service provider to host you. Let's move on and look at some of Amanda's social media, excuse me. I said she's on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, and we're gonna look at her Instagram. Here's one. So she says, the gold is here. 100% grass beef, fed ground beef is back in stock and we're excited. And then she says, for those who contacted us and are on our waiting list, we'll get in touch with you. And in her last paragraph, she says, for those in Clear Lake, which is a city near there, Newt stopped at Simply Nourished Clear Lake yesterday and restocked the freezer. So Simply Nourished is the organic grocery store in which they sell their product. So you'll notice on the screen in that last paragraph, Amanda has the @ with Simply Nourished, highlighted that in yellow for you so you can see. And that is called a user tag. That's very important in your social media marketing. And what that is, it's a call out basically. She's notifying Simply Nourished, who is also on Instagram. She's notifying them that she is talking about them. And she's also making it possible for us to click on that blue link there and click into Simply Nourished Instagram page. So that's kind of nice. She's sharing the social media, sharing the glory there, sharing the promotion. But if we think about it, why would she not want to share that? Because they are carrying her product. So the user tag, promote people with your user tags, especially promote your customers, promote the people who are selling your product, share the glory, so to speak. That is how social media has become so successful. And I also want to note that we women, this is why we are so good on social media. We are more willing to share in the marketing. We have come to realize that when one of us succeeds, the rest of us succeed. And that's what makes we women farmers so great. That's the user tag. In this one, Amanda says, hey there. I'm Amanda, the girl that Newt somehow convinced to move to rural Iowa and buy a bunch of cattle. I put this one on because one of you asked, where is that? You asked, how do you move into a new area and set yourself up as a business person? How do you introduce yourself to people? And how do you get them to take the time to come to know you? I thought Amanda does a good job here. She says, it's been a while since I introduced myself, so I thought I'd share some fun facts. Basically, what Amanda is doing is using this newness as part of her brand. She's using that to her benefit. And she says, I grew up in a tiny Bavarian tourist town in the Washington Mountains. That's kind of interesting, isn't it? And you want to know a little bit more about her. If we take the same post and move on, here I scroll down so you could see the rest of it. She says, I studied entrepreneurial opportunities at Washington State University. And surprisingly, these lessons trans well into running a beef operation. Then she asks questions. What about you? Did you always know what you wanted to do? So she's initiating conversation. If I could keep scrolling down at the bottom, you would see she had a lot of conversation going. A lot of people replied about themselves. They are connecting themselves to her, and she's giving them that opportunity. She's letting them be part of the game, so to speak. At the bottom of this screen, you'll notice in blue all those words and word phrases with the pound sign in front of them. Those are hashtags. Those are like the user tag, except these are designating a topic. If you were to click on any one of these, you could go into many other Instagram posts that anyone did, and it would be on, let's say, entrepreneurship or introduction. If I went back to her announcement that the ground beef was in, you would see that she had hashtag fresh beef or hashtag organic beef or hashtag Iowa beef. In fact, this is how I found Amanda. Last year, I was doing a workshop for the practical farmers of Iowa, and I wanted an Iowa farm as an example. So I did a search on Instagram. I typed in hashtag Iowa beef farmer, and then I typed in hashtag Iowa organic farmer. Amanda popped up. Now Amanda and I know each other, and we chit chat back and forth on email. Okay, that is social media marketing. Amanda, she's a authentic, sincere person here on the farm. She's using her life story as part of her brand. She doesn't know a whole lot about beef farming, but she's learning. That's part of her brand. Each of you has a story, and it doesn't matter if your story is that you're new to the area, or maybe you've been there for 50 years, or maybe you've had some event in your life that has brought you to farming. Any of these things are part of your story, and you have a special story no matter what it is, and you can use that. Okay. Back to the user tags and hashtags. If you're not using them in your social media marketing, or especially if you don't know much about them, take the time to research that on Google. Just find out about that. There is a love-hate relationship. Some people say they don't work, some say they do. Most people involved in marketing say they work very well, and you don't want to be without them. So give them a try. All right, we're moving along right on schedule. I'm gonna save the questions until the end. So if you do have questions, don't forget to put them in the chat. So we are gonna move on to the established business. 36% of you said you were established in your business. So you have been in business for several years or more. You have an established customer base. You know who is your profitable customer. Your profitable customer is the one that you can earn a living from. You've been marketing your business. And maybe you even have a marketing plan, but you're looking to take some next steps beyond the norm, perhaps. Here I have another, and Tammy D. They are 6 generations on Wendy's family farms of mine. And their young adult children, 3 of them, obviously, are the 7th generation, and they're very involved in the farm. So their specialty is homegrown popcorn. They've been growing this since about 2002, and they sell it in local venues, they sell it online, they sell it in farmers markets. And then they also do seasonal produce and pork and eggs in farmers markets and in their own small farm store, which is open seasonally and on some Saturdays. So normally they did the most of their sales for the produce and pork and eggs were in farmers markets. But like all of us, basically, COVID has affected this. The demand is still there, but their problem came with facilitating the sale itself and then shipping the product or delivering the product. They couldn't do that in the farmers market anymore. So now they have to ship most of it online. And so Tammy came to me and she wanted an e-commerce website. This is the website that we're currently working on. So Tammy, once again, in this farm situation, the woman is handling the marketing. It's a very natural thing for Tammy. She's a very outgoing personality. And this is just right in her ballpark. Tammy's the heart of their business. This is Tammy in that portrait. She manages the farmer's market stand, she manages the home farm store, and she takes farm orders and handles the shipping and everything. So besides social media marketing, she is using the news media, such as magazines, television, and so forth, to help her with her marketing. Their business has been covered in a variety of newspapers and magazines. And in this picture here, this is kind of interesting. She captured the attention of Jim Richardson of National Geographic. He was doing a special series called Feeding the Planet by Women Farmers. And he found Tammy, of all places, in the Dane County Farmers Market. That's in Madison, Wisconsin. And of course, Tammy, I said, is very friendly. She's got a bubbly personality and she's very talkative with her customers. But what she really could do for him when he approached her was hand him information on her farm. And so we are going to talk about that. Basically, we're going to talk about the media kit or press kit. Before we get started in that, I just want to say a word about the media. By media, I'm referring to TV, radio, newspapers, magazines. Nowadays on the internet, we have podcasts and webinars and so forth. The media is not our enemy. I have to emphasize that. In recent times, we've kind of had some bad rap for the media. And I agree, sometimes it's justifiable, but overall, especially local media is your friend. Remember that. And the reason I want to emphasize this is it gives great exposure to your business, but I also want to point out how media, their jobs are different nowadays compared to, say, a decade or more ago. If years gone by, your local newspaper was going to do a story on your farm, they would send a reporter out, and they would send this photographer out, and maybe they would even send extra people. But for sure, the reporter and the photographer would come, and the photographer would get great shots, and the reporter would have this time to focus on talking with you and getting this information, her information. Nowadays, media is on a very short staff. They don't have the personnel. If they're going to send someone out to your farm, they're going to send one person. That one person is going to have to take the photos. That one person is going to have to talk with you and get all the information. That one person is going to have to go back and do all the research and write the story and everything. So it's your job to help them help you with promoting your business. And that's where the media kit comes in. And let's see, we're not moving forward here. There we go. Okay, a media kit. In the old days, a media kit would be something you'd put together, all hard copy. It would have a sheet with data on it, such as your contact information, maybe a bio of people on your farm, your company information and company background, your products. It would have 5 or 10 resolution photos, high resolution. It would have your logo, it would have testimonials, maybe some recent news articles, and you'd take all this stuff and you'd pack it together and put it in a manila envelope and you'd hand it to the reporter. Press kit, it'd be all together. And the next time someone was coming, you'd make a whole new kit and put it all together. Nowadays, we have this all online and it's so much easier. You don't have to be doing it, it's all digital. The reporter can come and research your farm even before he comes out to you. He can research on your farm, ask you if he can do a story. Let's take a look at a very good press kit. And community. They train future farmers, they have hands-on education, they have a whole list of things they do. So as you can see, public awareness is hugely important.